All right, guys, I had really hoped that some of that knocking and clattering in the other video was that alternator, because the bearings were out of it, that old one. That does not appear to be the case. This, as I've taken it around and it's gotten warm, it still knocks and clatters. It really sounds like it's deeper down in the engine. It doesn't really sound like a valve train clatter. So I'm not real sure what I'm going to try to do about it at this point. I might end up just start shopping for another V10, a spare V10, and just keep running this one until it does something. It sits here and idles just fine. And doesn't tick, rattle, or clatter at all. See if I can fire up. Batteries are a little weak from all this diagnosing I've been doing. Either that or the starter is weak. I mean, it sit here and purrs like a little kitten. Doesn't clatter or clang or nothing. Just as I let off that throttle blade, you can hear a little click. It's something just as you come off, as the engine loads up and then unloads. It's got some funny sort of knocking in it for some reason, but maybe it's timing chains, I'm not real sure. It does look like somebody's been in the front cover at some point. This engine's got around supposedly 178,000, assuming that cluster is right. So the radiator fluid doesn't look the best in the world. It could probably go for a change. I could probably pull the fan and the radiator and pull the front cover and see what's going on with the timing chains and things. Maybe pull the valve covers. You can see though, it's a pretty good job this valve cover is not bad to pull. That one over there is aggravating just because of the heater box. It looks doable, but aggravating. Let's see. You guys might not be able to see it. I can get my head up in here. Yeah, I can probably get all the valve cover bolts from the bottom down there. So yeah, I might go ahead and pull the covers on it at some point. Not gonna happen for a little while though. I got other things. It's still running along, beating along. These are not, as long as it wouldn't tear up a cam or a follower or a valve, it'd be in pretty good shape. They don't have the phasers. And really, I don't think it's a valve train problem anyway, but I did check the balancer, make sure the balancer's in good shape, not bouncing against the cover. And made sure there's no major in-play in the crankshaft. It could be something on the flex plate maybe, but I kind of doubt it. But those are my thoughts on the clattering. So wished I would have had it solved with the alternator. Could have been an easy fix. Just alternator bearings, that would have been nice, but not so lucky. Hope you enjoy the video. Alright guys, tonight this video is brought to you by Rum and Dew. It is the fuel that I need tonight. It's just been one of those weeks. This truck is ticking and it's sort of progressively getting worse, I think. I'm pretty sure it's something in this valve train over here. Pretty sure it's coming from this side. And then I'm just staring at all the crap I have to take off this thing, which is just aggravation. But I'm going to get started on that and see if I can't get this valve cover pulled out. I guess I'll probably have to pull the harness and these coil packs. It looks like you can see the connectors must be broke. They've zip tied a bunch of crap together. Always fun. A pair of cutters and get to cutting. Be a good workout on the back. All right, guys, I'm trying to get this wheel off. Got it jacked up, and that way I can come up through there to get some of these bottom valve cover bolts. I've got most everything removed from the top. Just about ready to start popping valve cover bolts. And one of my other videos, I did a torture test on this DeWalt, taking off those big lugs over there. These little lugs here are way worse. Still got a full battery, and these are tough. Trying multiple directions, back and forth. We'll let that one rest. There, see if we can hit this one. Goodness. That thing's hot. Hot, hot, hot. That one's not rounding, but man, it's like it's trying. That one came through. You can see, I mean, there's a lot of rust on these things. Couple easy ones, couple really tough ones. And we'll give this one a try. Almost too easy. That's tough. I'll put some heat on that one. Alright, so we'll try to loosen up some of these. Sadly, I don't have a 5/16 extension or deep well. For some reason, it has managed to run away. So do the but this is how I typically do these. Oh. Now that one's not going to cooperate. Get on there. Yep, some of these look to be a pain in the tail. I'll tell you, that didn't sound the best in the world. Maybe it broke free and not broke itself. These little wobble sockets are pretty nice. That's about the extent of their wobble, though. These bolts have seen better days. A little bit rusty, which is a Michigan truck. So. What a conglomeration. That battery's not even hardly strapped down. All right, I'm gonna go back to working on the rest of these. It's probably gonna get hard for you guys to see up in there. I'll do most of that by feel probably. And then I'll bring you back to pull the cover. All right, guys, you can see I got the last lug nut off. It came off pretty easy. Not too big of a deal. I ended up having to pull all the coil packs because they are going to block this valve cover. I just pulled this last stud. Before I did that, I took the air hose and blew off all the debris and junk that was sitting up here. And try to keep that out of the engine. I am going to change the oil after I do this anyway. I haven't changed the oil since I bought the truck, which I probably only put 50 miles on it, minus the 200 or 300 mile trip down here. So up under here, you probably can't see it. There's only 3 bolts on the back side. You can get them right up under this wheel well here. Pretty easy, not too bad to reach. And let's see if we can get this valve cover off now. I am sure it is probably stuck down by a bolt somewhere. Definitely RTV at the front. Might not have got that one there all the way out up front. Doesn't feel like it. Now I like the V10s. They are a pretty good engine. They're pretty stout. They pull pretty good. But man, I am just about over Ford's packaging. Son of a buck. I'm really leaning towards my next vehicle being a GM with the 6-liter. That one there is not all the way out. Just for the simplicity of it's a narrower engine, if you got to get in and work on something. It's so much easier with something that's narrower and you can actually get your hands into places and work on things. It is such a pain in the butt when you can't hardly get to anything. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest problem these days with engineers. And I'm an engineer by trade. But they push everybody, and you probably can't see what I'm doing. My hand's just up in there. I'm pretty well working by feel. There we go. I got them out. They try and try and try to design stuff that never fails or doesn't fail for a certain interval. But then they don't think about after that interval who's got to go in there and fix it. And that's when people really start to not like certain vehicles. And that engine's kind of dirty. Alrighty. Bingo. Got her out. Not the worst thing I've done, but not the easiest. I'll just lean that up against there. Success. Time for a reward. Need a drink. Now this sucker is pretty grimy. But so far I don't see anything that is overly concerning. I do know somebody's been in this engine before because of this red RTV up here. This is not factory color. What they've done, I don't know. Put my gloves back on. Check these lifters. Make sure none of them are loose, or rollers, rockers, whatever you want to call them. The cam looks somewhat decent. Man, this sucker is dirty. I'm thinking they weren't real religious on changing oil. I was hoping to see something a little more obvious. Where's my screwdriver? Yahtzee, right there. That frickin' tensioner, or that guide. And I hope you guys can see it. That guide is broke. Son of a buck. Means I gotta pull the radiator and pull the whole front cover. Ah, goodness. That means there's probably shit down the oil pan. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. Well, it's probably, if I had to guess, getting close to 11 o'clock. Yep. 11:07. So I'm gonna call it a day. That I know what noise was. Pull this camera off. Let's make sure I get you guys a good view. Head strap on. That's not really going to show it. I'll bring you back here in a couple minutes. Alright guys, there's a bit of a shadow, but I think you can probably see that black guide right there. Trying to reach in there with a screwdriver. I'll slide off the truck here. Alright, so there it is. That chain, not hardly even touching it. And it is loose with a screwdriver. I can rock it back and forth. So it's definitely toast. I don't know if the pin came out of it or what. It doesn't show up great on camera. There you can see the L of it. That is the problem. That is the noise. I'll have to pull the fan, shroud, drain the radiator, maybe pull the radiator. I might can get in here and do it without it. And what the horrible clattering sound was coming from the engine is that bolt's tight, but something has gone wrong. And you can see I can shake that guide back and forth. I actually did loosen this bolt, and I've tried to tighten it up, and it's gotten better, but it's still too loose. There's something wrong there. And then over here, as you can see, this upper guide here is actually broke. Now, I never heard any noise on this side of the engine because this guide has actually sat down and rested on the head here, even though it's broke, and it's real flimsy too. It has something to lay against. This one doesn't. So when it's loaded up, the chain can really move it around, and tighten it up helped, but something's not quite right in it. So I'm in here, might as well put brand new guides in it, new tensioners. I'll probably do a new oil pump as well. It's gonna be a pain to get down in there and do that, but right now I'm gonna go ahead and get this other valve cover pulled, get ready to pull all the chains and be able to retime everything. So this cover is not going to be as aggravating to pull as the other ones. All right, just wanted to show my progress. Got everything stripped down. Got the cam chains, timing chains, or whatever you want to call them off. I don't have anything holding these cams in place. They're pretty well just sitting there stationary on their own. If you can see the keyway there, sitting at about 11 o'clock. That's a neutral position for the pistons, and it's pretty well a neutral position for the cams to where they won't want to move on their own. I'm not real worried if they move on their own because I'm retiming it anyway, so I'll line all the timing marks back up. I couldn't get this valve cover off because it's hitting some of the EGR stuff. I could probably really fight it and get it off, but there's no real point. I've just got it sitting on that second coil pack back on that side, holding it up so I've got room to do the chains. This one doesn't want to come off as easy because you got these balance shaft over here on this driver's side head. So far so good. This valve cover really fought me too. It's a real pain in the butt. And you can see I still got a socket sitting on, stuck on that fastener. You can see I've got a fastener there and a fastener there. I had to weld nuts onto the top of them because they rounded off as I was trying to get them out. So, yep, real big pain in the butt right there. So, the other pain in the butt is this oil pickup tube. I've got the bolt that you can see on the left here side. It's in. The bolt closest to the crankshaft is not in. It's a real pain in the butt. I hate that thing. Really need a flex head ratcheting in wrench. Don't have that though, so we're going to have to figure something else to get that in there, and we'll figure that out and keep moving forward, get all this stuff bolted back together and get her up and going. Oh man, this thing is she's a bit of a dirty mess though. Let's see, big old screwdriver here, but man, you can just see the gunk in this thing. I mean, you can see it on the screwdriver there. I mean, just gunk that collects in these timing tensioners. You can see them over here. You can see all that gunk just sitting there. It's just nasty. These things don't really flow oil. They do have some seepage, so they do leak a little bit, I think, around the piston plungers. But for the most part, oil comes here and just stays trapped. I mean, it can drain back through the motor on this side because your oiling hole is at the bottom. This side over here, the oiling hole, zoom back out for the tensioner, is on the top. So it's probably a little harder for it to drain back, and it definitely traps a lot right there in that lower cavity. This one just appears to not be as bad at trapping crap in that lower cavity for whatever reason. That's a interesting one. I've never really noticed. This motor hasn't been super well taken care of. They haven't done the best on oil change frequency, I don't think, but she still runs pretty smooth. We'll get this timing stuff figured out and keep putting regular oil changes in it and changing the filter, and we should be in good shape still. So I'll catch you back up later. I did want to just, I can't remember if I put it in a video or not, wanted to tell you the timing kit I'm using is from Melling Gear. The pump that I was showing a little bit ago is a Melling 176 pump. These are all Melling. This comes in the Melling kit. I don't know if Melling actually makes them or not. But Melling chains, guides. I didn't go with the gears. You probably don't need the cam gears. They typically don't wear that much. The only gear you might want to get is the crankshaft gear. It does wear some. In hindsight, I probably should have bought one. This gear here is pretty worn. You can see it in the, you can see that chain has definitely marked this thing up. If it'll focus. Come on. Focus in. Spin around here. Maybe that'll help. There we go. It looks worse on camera than it is. It's not a showstopper. I mean, you could probably get by reusing this gear. I know some people run these engines 300,000–400,000 miles. I've heard of with the same timing stuff. Definitely 300,000 miles. I've got a single piece gear out of another engine. It's in a little better shape. The wear marks aren't as deep, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw it on there. Again, I think I showed in another video maybe, that is the beauty of having a stockpile of spare parts. I'm gonna run with this gear because it's the best. I've got another set of separate gears, and I've got another gear even that's going in the 5.4 for the Mustang, so it's a little bit better quality than all these. So I'm gonna leave it with the Mustang because that timing system again takes a lot more abuse, a lot of high RPM, a lot of rev limiter. And again, this engine's got 180,000 miles on it. Pretty sure this gear would last probably another 100,000 miles easy. This truck doesn't even get, I've put less than 3,000 miles on it. I've put less than 1,000 miles on it since I've owned it right now. So pretty sure this gear here came out of a 4.6 Mark 8 motor, which is the heads that are actually on that 5.4 block. And I'm pretty sure that motor had around 110,000 miles on it. I do remember when I popped it open, you could still see the cross hatching in the bores. You see the chain does mark these gears a little bit, but it's nothing terrible. A little bit of, or the chains do mark these gears up a little bit. It's nothing terrible. So if you want some peace of mind though, you could go ahead and buy that gear. These things are pretty cheap. They're not that expensive. You can go pick them up at the auto parts store or whatever. Again, I'm not really worried, so I'm going to run this one. But if it fails, it's just my time and labor and aggravation. So, and I say that, and hell, it probably will. But I'm willing to roll that dice. So. Alright, I do want to show, I'm not sure if this is, it's got the Ford part number on it. It might be the original Ford part. You can see the thickness of that boss. That boss up here looks kind of thick, but you can see there's not much material down in there. It's getting a really deep recess, and it's a really thin piece of metal sitting there. This is the Melling guide. Look at the backs first. They look pretty similar on the back. This bottom boss looks to be pretty similar. But notice the difference at the top. is there is more, that is a much thicker piece of metal in there, and the plastic's got a lot more height to it, so it's a little, should be a lot stiffer and a lot harder to break than this one. I don't know if it just compressed. You can see it's got some funny wear marks in it. This is what was loose, sitting there fluttering, making that slapping sound. And sooner or later it would have broke. Pieces would have. This isn't the one with the white strips in it that tends to get pieces down the oil pan, but if this thing starts, if you beat against it long enough, this will start to break too, and chips will break off and get down in the oil pan and clog the pickup. So it's definitely something, when you hear noise, you need to address it fairly quick. And hopefully this part will last even better. So just wanted to show you guys that. So I got all the new chains on, tensioners, new guides, and this guide here, it is rock solid now. There's no flex in that thing at all, so that'll definitely solve that problem. It was flopping around like crazy before. Timing these things super easy. The crankshaft sprocket there, it's got a slot. Of course, it's got the keyway, and it's got a pointer on it that points down in this position. There's a gold link, single link. That single link goes on the crankshaft. The double links up here split the dot. So there's a dot right there. The double gold links split that dot on both sides. You see right there. And that's all there is to it. If your chains do not come marked, it is also super easy. And of course, one-handed, this chain probably doesn't want to cooperate. Grab this other one. If they are not marked, all you have to do is hold them, zoom out and not fall down. Well, let's see, I don't have anything good to hang them on, but or get good light. But let's see here. I'll take you over here to my wall where my other timing chains are, and they're already hanging, so it'll be easier to show over here. So notice how those two links are splitting that nail. You would mark those with a yellow marker. Straight down, notice how you end up with a single link at the bottom. Mark that one with a marker, and that is exactly how these timing chains are marked. So if you don't have marks, no big deal. If you do, great. So hope that helps. I'm gonna get back to buttoning this thing together. Alright guys, 3 nights of work. I finally got it all back together. It's all done, except it doesn't have any antifreeze in it yet. I'm just going to fire it off and see how it does. I pre-lubed the oil pump and everything else. Make sure we don't have any catastrophes. Crap, dead battery. Try this again. All right, let's try this again. Other than the usual exhaust leak, it sounds real good. Better shut it off, put some water in it. Alright guys, it's been a long journey. Got her all buttoned up, full of fluids. Charging the battery right now. We're going to call that one a success. It's been a lot longer of a journey than I figured it would be. I've probably got, probably 8 hours putting this thing back together. It took some time. It was slow. I spent some time cleaning the front timing cover. It had definitely been leaking before. I think that's why the previous owner had pulled it off and RTV'd the whole thing. So it was gunked up real bad. Replaced the seals, did all that. So, and the V10s, they're just deep back in there. I mean, all the fuel injector harnesses, the clips are broke, so they won't stay in place. So I had to zip tie all those. Just little tedious stuff that you don't think it'll take that long, just adds up a lot of time. So in the end, I'm real happy with how everything turned out as far as fires up, it runs right. Not like I didn't expect that, but it's always good when it actually turns out that way and you didn't miss anything, because there is a lot of work, a lot of little things that can sneak up and bite you. But being able to do this kind of work definitely saves me a boatload of money, because I would have hated to have to pay somebody to do all this, because it might have been worth more than the truck. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a little bit. And thanks for watching.